Napoli fans around the world, welcome to Napoli Talk, guys. What a scare at the end. Welcome, guys, to the stream. It is another second half where we struggle, and it seems like these players are really, really, really feeling the pressure, but somehow, guys, Napoli made it through that second half. We got the 3 points, and I just can't stop thinking about that penalty save from Meret because if Jimenez had scored that penalty with 20 minutes to go, I am sure that we would not be walking away with 3 points. It would have been 2-1 much earlier. Milan would have kept the pressure on for those 20 minutes. They would have gotten, I think, a second goal after that. We were lucky that their first goal came after the 80th minute and not when that penalty happened, guys. But a lot of different talking points. I see a lot of Milan fans are also in the chat, so that's cool and good to see some of your opinions in there as well. But guys, I want to know in the comments first of all what you what's the main takeaway from this for you guys? For me, that there's so many, and maybe my main takeaway is going to be a little bit um, a surprise for some of you. I guess we all have a lot of different opinions. Mine is actually on the fact that Milan were able to change the game with their subs in a way that we haven't been able to do so, not just in this game, but throughout the entire second half of the season. I mean, Milan, guys, look at their bench. They put on Jimenez, Rafa Leao. I mean, we put on Mazzocchi. Billing scored against Inter, but guys, this guy is not a Jimenez, is not a Rafa Leao, and so when we try to then think about why the second half went the way it went, it's because they actually had players off the bench that could make an impact. I think Conte picked the right starting 11, and I gotta give him credit for that. I don't think Conceição picked his best starting 11. I would never bench Leao, even if he's a difficult player. I would never start Abraham over Jimenez. Uh, but he did the right changes, right, to rectify that. And even if he started with Leao, and even if he had started with Jimenez, he would have been able to bring on those players that actually did start the game. And I think as impact subs, they would have made an impact. Whereas we don't have that. We don't have that. And let's say the only strong impact player that we have, or potential impact player that we have, is Raspadori. And now that we've moved to a 4-3-3, he's not able to make that sort of impact, Raspadori, in a 4-3-3. Maybe he will get a goal here and there, but he wouldn't be playing in his best position, the one that he's been so good at over the last few games. And so you have this weird situation where one of our best players who could make an impact is not going to be in a position to do so, or it's not going to be easy for him to do so. But that was my main takeaway, guys. It's just how thin Napoli's squad is, and these second halves that we've been dropping points, that we've been close to dropping points in, or these huge kind of drop offs in performance, I think they can be explained by the fact that we don't have depth in the team. And then you look at Milan, who's ninth in the table, maybe 10th after this game. I haven't seen actually how far down they've gone, but they have a proper bench. And I'm sure you guys have seen on Twitter recently. So Milan is still ninth. Okay. I'm sure you've seen on Twitter recently, but there was a top 11 of the Serie A, and there was no Napoli player in the top 11 for the season in terms of not how well they've performed, but in terms of market value. And that says a lot. The other thing, guys, is that when looked at each individual position, none of the Napoli players made the top three. Like top three strikers, we weren't there. Top three center midfielders, we weren't. I don't know why Lobotka wasn't there, but I mean the organization in charge of making this clearly thinks that we don't have good enough players. Which just tells you that these guys are pulling off a miracle. Guys, I'm gonna take a 2 second break. I'm gonna leave you guys with a poll, and I want to ask you guys after this game chances of winning the Scudetto. Because it's a strange one, right? Like we won the game, but we suffered so much. And then we have to play against Bologna next, who's the most informed team in the Serie A. I think it's 7 wins in a row. I want to know from you guys what you think is our chances. So I'm going to go um, 0 to 10, 10, or let's say 11 to 30, 31 to 50, or over 50. I don't think anybody is going to click on anything like above 70. Like I don't think anybody thinks we have like above 70% chance. So I'm gonna put on this poll. I'm gonna take a 2 second break to get water, and I'll be back in a second. All right, we're back. We're back. Okay, so very interesting so far the poll, to be honest. So there's a lot of variety. Okay, interesting. Then we'll see. I'll keep it live for another few minutes, and then we'll see how it ends up being. Let me get to some of your comments, guys. I told you my main takeaway was on the depth of the two different teams and how I just felt that it was so crazy. It seemed like they were the ones that should be second in the league, and we were ninth, considering the bench that we both had. But let's see what you guys think. All right, Mike X stats. The play of the match was Enconges for drawing the last minute foul. Jokes aside, it has to be Meret. Yeah, man, Meret. If he didn't make that save, I don't know tonight if we would have been walking away with 3 points. Paul says, I think Billy Gilmore came of age as a Napoli player tonight. He showed his versatility out of position and a bit of quality. There are more assists and maybe a few more goals in this lad, says Paul. So, interesting that you say that. I thought Gilmore had a strange game. So he obviously has that assist towards Lukaku, which Ryan says, I think that may be Gilmore's first non-international goal contribution in first team football. So he did have that assist to Lukaku, but there were a few moments where he gave a few dangerous balls away, and like that one in the first half that Pulisic then went through on goal, where it was shaky. It was shaky, and he got a little bit lucky, I think, to get away with it. So it's hard to judge Gilmore's performance because there was that great assist, picked out Lukaku very well, and then there was a few other moments like this. So, but that was in general Napoli today. That was kind of the entire team had some ups and downs. Like the same with Di Lorenzo, right? I think he did a great job with that assist in the first half. Very good in terms of trying to position himself in a way that he's always available for his teammates. But then in that second half, Milan get a goal and are so dangerous on the left hand side. And that comes from his side that he should be defending against Theo Hernandez, and he loses him. So, a lot of players have had these kind of good things on one side and then less good things on another. How was their goal Juan Jesus's fault? Yeah, I don't think it was. I think it was. Look, it's a great goal. Teo, he's a great player. He puts the ball right across the little 6 yard box. It's impossible for defenders to defend against because or it's hard because if you put a foot, you risk making an own goal. You've got all that momentum that is pushing you towards your own goal. So if you don't get a clean contact there, then you risk an own goal. Whereas a striker, he knows that he just needs to toe poke it, and so he's always got the advantage, a striker there, because he just uses the momentum of his body to just toe poke it. And the goalkeeper, it's very scary for a goalkeeper to come out charging because you've got these strikers that especially if that ball is going to be down low, they're going to put their foot out, and you don't want to put your head there. So especially because, guys, if something happens to you, then you're playing the next 10 minutes without a goalkeeper. If you run out of subs or you have to put in your backup goalkeeper, I don't see many goalkeepers come out when the ball's low like that. So look, it's not anybody's fault. That goal, I think it was just a great play by Milan. Credit where credit's due. Leo Hernandez team up, and that's the quality that Milan have at times. These guys are difficult to deal with, maybe in the dressing room, and they can make some rash decisions in the field, but then when they link up, they can produce a bit of magic. Made it massive today. Napoli talk broke the jinx. When he has the Milan guy come to the show, they always end up with points. Happy Neres came back. Really like Billy Gilmore. Guys, for those of you guys that watched my preview, you will have seen that I had Politano score, and then he did. So not only did I break that jinx, but I also didn't bring bad luck towards Politano. Actually, we helped them. But Anthony likes the way Billy Gilmore played. Okay, so that's already a few of you guys that are saying positive things about Billy Gilmore. I thought it was a much more average performance, but that's why I do these lives, because I want to get your comments and I want the wider community to read out these comments so that if I'm the one that's wrong, at least you have another 10 examples of other people that maybe say the right thing. So, hey, maybe I'm wrong on Gilmore, and actually he had a great game. I thought, for example, the game, I can't remember against who. Um, there was a game that he played that he was just phenomenal. The first one that he came in off to substitute Anguissa being injured. I can't remember what game it was, but he was great there. So I've seen better from Gilmore in a Napoli shirt, to be honest. But hey, Helcom says good first half and quite clinical one. We kind of tried to cool the game down in the second one, and we were lucky not only to concede one goal. However, I don't give up right now, and my head's on Bologna with no Conte. Right, Conte. I guess too many yellow cards, and Bologna, the most informed team, guys. That is going to be a tricky one. But hey, this run from Bologna has to come to a close at some point. Like, these guys cannot make it 8 in a row. I mean, I hope not, right? But look, Bologna is the team that let's go 1 second to see Bologna, just because I think it's very interesting. Let's go to Bologna. So if you guys look at Bologna, okay, they have us, they have Atalanta, and then they have Inter in the 20th of April. So over the next few weeks, well, literally, like their next three Serie A games are Napoli, Atalanta, and then Inter. Now, Atalanta dropped points the other day right? Or yesterday or this morning. Can't remember whether it was yesterday or this morning. But Atalanta dropped points, and so they're pretty much out of the title race. But had they not dropped points, then Atalanta would be facing literally the three title chasing teams all in a row, and it would be basically up to them to decide who they're going to give the Scudetto to. Are they going to, um, are they going to get a result against Inter, for example? They are capable of doing that, and they've got Inter to play at home uh, right after Easter, or let's say on that sort of Easter weekend. That could be interesting because look, Bologna sit in fourth. They've got Juventus 1 point behind, but if we manage to get points away from Bologna, maybe Juventus goes above them. They have to then win their games to make sure that they get back into that Champions League spot. I mean, it's interesting. It's interesting. And then you've got Roma, who, by the way, are only 4 points behind Bologna in that race for the Champions League. You've got Lazio, who have to play tomorrow, who are 5 points behind, but with a game in hand, so maybe only 2 points behind. Fiorentina as well, only five. Like, there's so many teams for that fourth spot that it won't be easy for Inter or Napoli to go against Bologna, and I think that's the most difficult game that both of us have to play. So it will definitely be very very intense. Andrea Veta says Bologna deciding the title race was not on my bingo card for the year. Yeah, but look, what a team that they're building up there. Even with Thiago Motta leaving and Italiano coming in. Let's see some other comments, guys. Back too deep in the last 20, 30 minutes. We must get this corrected. And look, it's not that Conte wants them to sit deep. He was telling the players at the end, even in the last 5 minutes, to be four at the back, not six. He was saying quattro, non sei, quattro, quattro. He was going like this. And just the players were naturally, like the two wingers or some of the midfielders were naturally dropping back, and we were creating a line of six. And Conte didn't want that. Conte wanted four at the back so that we have enough people in the middle to make sure that we get those shots blocked, that we stop the passing that Milan were having in the midfield. But just naturally, the players were dropping back, and so I don't think it's Conte saying to these players to drop back. I think it's just naturally these players are doing it because they're scared and they want to be on the defensive. That's where they feel more secure. They don't want to take the risk, and it's just not working out. Like we are not able to absorb that kind of pressure. I don't understand how this team can play two insanely different halves. But just take a look at Italy against Germany, right? Losing 3-0 in the first half and then 3-0 in the second half, right? For the game to end 3-3. So this happens in football, and it's just a matter of mentality. Because look, it's not like technically the teams are that different between one half and the other. So what changes is a little bit maybe the tactics, and then mentally how the players react to changes in momentum, to the pressure of the situation. Very good first half. Good game overall, says LC. I guess more positive over there. Lex says Neres wreaked havoc on that Milan backline. Welcome back. Lukaku more effective with the front three interchanging position like they did in the first half. Of course, Milan throw like 9 forwards at the end. The last 15 minutes felt like 2 hours. Hoping for the clean sheet though. Yeah, good to have Neres back. We haven't spoken about Neres yet. I'm glad Conte made the bold choice to go back to a 4-3-3, put Neres from the start, because it could have been easy to say, no, no, he's not ready yet. Let's keep playing Raspadori. But I think it's very obvious that this team plays better with Neres on the field. Not take nothing away from Raspadori, but if if we have to choose one or the other, I would choose Neres. our hearts can only take so much as Napoli Nation TV. That invitation letting Milan play in around the box in the second half was so necessary. And yeah, guys, we missed Scott. He had a flu. And I do agree with Eric that we need to win the next 8 games. Like I really do think that we've already played our, let's say, jolly by tying against Venezia, which is such a shame because we could have used that, let's say, against Bologna next weekend, and it would have been a decent result to get a draw away at Bologna. Instead, we're forced to go and win because I cannot see Inter messing up more than one game. They will mess up a game, I'm sure. But it's just a matter of, is Napoli going to be able to win the next 8? But I'm sure that Inter will drop points. Like there's no way that Inter win 11 games in a row because you have to consider the 3 that they already have and then the 8 that they need to do. I just can't see Inter getting 11 wins in a row with also the Champions League coming up. But look, they also show that they have a very deep squad because look, they played against Udinese with Arnautovic starting as their striker, and he gets a goal. I mean, if we were to play Simeone, our backup striker, against Udinese, I'm not sure he would be scoring, right? So they've got that depth, they've got that ability to handle the 3 competitions that they're in. I'm going to Napoli for the Empoli game. How long before they usually drop the tickets? I'm not sure. You'd have to go check. But it's a good game to go. So yeah, just make sure that you refresh the Napoli website to know when those tickets drop, and figure out where you can go buy the tickets, like if it's on Ticket One or List Ticket or whatever. Then I would check there as well. Let's see some other comments, guys. Let's see. I hope Conte stays for 2, 3 more years. What he's achieved with this team is very good, says LC. I do agree with that. I do agree. And it's true that we have a very thin squad. But I think Conte has to improve on what he does between the first and second half. I want to see that change. And he's already done an incredible job, guys. He's done an incredible job this year. I don't think it's perfect. I think he could still do some coaching to this group of people, to this group of guys, that can improve them, that it can improve their game, that it can improve them mentally. And look, if there was one thing that I didn't expect was that we would be, let's say, weak mentally with Conte on the bench. I thought that this wouldn't be a problem this year, to be honest. I maybe thought that we would struggle more on how fluid we play. Maybe we would be a bit defensive. But actually, you look at the first goal that we scored, or even the second one, and it's a beautiful piece of football, to be honest. Forward, vertical football. And I thought that that wouldn't be the case. I thought that we would struggle more with that and less mentally. But it's definitely a different Conte from the one of 5, 10 years ago. This is a Conte that you could tell took a year off and is thinking about different ways of playing, and trying to evolve as well, the type of coach that he is. Let's go. Let's guys. Let's go, guys, to the analysis of the game. But first, I want to shout out Uncle Sharma. Says, "Stop winning, please." Can't believe Uncle Sharma today was probably cheering for Milan. But that's the nature of these title races, that you've got to at some point start cheering for rivals that you never thought you would do, right? I mean, when Inter played against Juventus, we were all Juventus fans that night, obviously. Uncle Sharma, obviously not rooting for you in Serie A, but rooting for you in Champions League. Give a beating to Bayern, please. That for sure, guys. I mean, we all want the Italian teams to do well in the Champions League because it's good for the ranking of Italian football. It's good for the publicity of the league because guess what? Players want to go to a league that is competitive. And if Italian teams get knocked out early, it's hard to convince people that this is a serious league. And we want Inter to have as many games as possible. Um, so, yeah, get to the final at least. Then you don't have to win it. Like we don't want Inter to actually go out and win it, right? Like I don't want to give them that satisfaction, but at least to get to the final, just use up all the energy that they have. Payman says, I will watch the show later in detail. Great first half. Second half, oh worry. Shows lack of depth. Atmosphere was horrific. Overall, mixed feelings, but we take the points. Bologna will be tough. Forza Napoli sempre. So basically, Payman was telling me that, so he was at the game. He was telling me that the son of an ultra died today or recently or whatever the case. And so as a result, the ultras were mourning this guy. And so they didn't cheer, not even when the goals happened, right? And in the second half, when the team really needed support, they didn't cheer. Now, you guys want to mourn? Fine, do it in private. Do it in the right setting. But if you're going to come to the stadium and you're going to take up seats and you're going to sit there and be quiet, you are doing damage to that team. And I think, I don't know the guy, but I think whoever passed away would rather see from above his team winning than 90 minutes of silence in his honor and then the team struggles. Honestly, guys, if something were to happen to me and you're at the stadium, please don't shut up. Make sure that you because I'm gonna be watching, okay? And I'm gonna be like, yo, you better be cheering that team because, yo, I mean, like, I don't know, I don't know, like, why that would be better for me, if you're doing something in my honor, like obviously like try to get Napoli to win. That's the best way to honor me, right? But look, the ultras think of it in a different way. So they were quiet the entire game, apparently, the ones in the Curva B, and I think it really, really affected the team. I also saw that, let's see, I saw exactly. Old Sonero was also in the chat. Says, Ciao Dom, well played in the first half. Second half, we played better, but overall deserved defeat. You guys go and stop Inter winning the Scudetto. Yeah, that's also the mixed feelings of a Milan fan over there. I think Milan have just been in a bit of a rough season, but there's no way that this team that they have is ninth place worthy. I'm sure next season on a clean slate, they're going to be able to fight at least for the Champions League again. Let's go into the analysis of the game, guys. So, first half, really good. Vertical play by Napoli. This is the goal. Meret to Buongiorno to Di Lorenzo on the wing, and Di Lorenzo finds a great pass towards Politano. And look at how Politano uses his body to cover the ball. And look at the size difference there, guys. It's actually pretty hilarious, but it shows you how well Politano did to make sure that he was protecting the ball and he's able to then find not only the balance but also the corner to get a goal. Great start by Napoli in the first minute. And I want to bring to your attention this moment here when Gilmore lost the ball and we sent Pulisic through on goal. Look at how similar this situation was with the ball bouncing in front of Pulisic and Anguissa's coming on the back of him, and Pulisic doesn't cover the ball well enough, and Anguissa takes it away from him. But look, two very similar situations, right? One with Pulisic, one with Politano. You would assume that Pulisic is the better player, that he'd be able to take advantage of the situation more, but instead it was Politano who took advantage of that very same situation, which I think elevates Politano's goal even more because look, it's not easy. But it also shows how fine the details are at times and how sometimes we don't give credit where credit's due, right? It's not easy to pull off what Politano pulled off. Um, let's see. I want to see if any big thing that I'm missing in the chat. I think we're all good. I'm reading the chat. You guys are having a good time there in the chat, so that's good. And then I want to get to how Napoli was able to give Milan a bit of a hard time in the second half. So look, Walker all over the place. You know, he wasn't able to catch up with Neres or he wasn't able to cover Neres very well. So I think that's also one of the benefits of that 4-3-3 when you're playing against guys like Theo Hernandez and Kyle Walker who like to go up. That 4-3-3 gives you that width that it's it gives you an advantage when you then go and attack, right? You can find these sort of moments. Unfortunately, De Lorenzo's cross didn't find neither Lukaku, who actually was offside, nor Neres because one of the Milan defenders got in the way of that cross. But I mean, we were dangerous in that first half, and then we score the second goal with Buongiorno. You know, he's so far forward. You know, this is well into Milan's own half. He gets the ball, lays it off to Billy Gilmore, and then Billy Gilmore does the right thing here to just wait a little bit before giving the ball to Lukaku because at the moment Lukaku's offside, but he waits. Buongiorno continues his run, and it makes Kyle Walker take a few steps forward. And because he's taken those few steps forward, he puts Lukaku in an onside position. Lukaku takes the ball, and to be honest, this is one of maybe Lukaku's worst and less tidy goals. He completely scuffs the shot, but credit to him, he finds the back of the net, and it's 2-0 within 20 minutes. And look, this should be downhill from here, but it wasn't. Another thing that I want to point out, guys, is Di Lorenzo's position throughout the game. Like he was both him and Oliveira actually. Like the amount of times I saw them in places where they normally shouldn't be for left backs or right backs. And this is, for example, Di Lorenzo playing as this almost CDM. I mean, we're used to that from Di Lorenzo, but I think that really helped today, especially in the first half, where it gave us that numerical advantage in the middle. In the second half, we didn't have that. We didn't do that in the second half. In the second half, Theo and Leao combine. You know, Leao comes off from the bench. It elevates everybody in the Milan side, Leao, because look, he might not always make the right choice, but he's able to play with his teammates, you know, that those 1-2s. And this moment here changed the game to some extent. It could have been a lot worse for Napoli, but you know, I think it gave Milan the awareness that they could hurt us. So here, Leao is the ball on the left, and Theo Hernandez makes a run, and Billing, you can see that he's ball watching. He's in the right position now in front of Theo Hernandez, but look, Theo just keeps running, and Billing is not aware of where Theo Hernandez is. He's still looking at the ball. And finally, when that ball is played, you know, Hernandez, the cheeky Hernandez, you know, he sticks a leg in between Billing's own, and, you know, it's a penalty. And I think it is. I think it's harsh because I'm not sure Billing had anywhere to go, and he didn't try to foul Teo Hernandez. I mean, Teo Hernandez literally just got in front of him, but still, I think it's a penalty. I think it would have been something that I would have been very upset if it didn't go my way. You have to think though that this is not always given. This is very similar, for example, to the one of Italy against Germany in the international break, where Di Lorenzo gets fouled, and they don't give us a penalty. So sometimes this is given, sometimes no. I'm of the opinion that these ones should be given, but yeah. Um, but yeah, that's I'm just reading the comment section now, and um, yeah, there's an interesting discussion there on Lukaku's shot. Was it bad? Was it scuffed? If it was bad, he would have missed. Fair enough, fair enough, and it was accidentally good, and maybe it was exactly what he needed to do. You know, the ball was a little bit behind him. He did good to just take the shot, right? Because sometimes players they try to maybe take that extra touch to put the ball exactly in the sweet spot where they want it to be, without realizing that then that gives other players a chance to either block the shot because you wasted a second or two, or actually when you shoot the ball very cleanly, it becomes predictable, you know? Um, and so sometimes that makes it even easier for goalkeepers. So the counterintuitive thing is to actually scuff a shot at times, and it throws goalkeepers off. So yeah. Peter says that wasn't a pen. Hernandez initiates contact. Yes, like I see that, how he's opportunistic, but I I don't know. I think that in these cases when players come together, the one that's further ahead gets the benefit of the doubt. I think Theo here is slightly ahead. Look, if it was the other way around, I would have been pretty upset not to get this penalty, I'll be honest. But I can see how it's 50-50. But guys, the important thing was that Meret saved it, because look, with so many minutes to go, if Meret didn't save it, this is by far Meret's best season at Napoli. And look, there's going to be a lot of people that think that he's a problem and all this and that, but I think that this year he's been great. So, you know, it's definitely not a position that I would be looking to strengthen next season. If we do find a great goalkeeper that's willing to move, that's not so expensive, fine. You know, because Meret has his faults, like long range shots, for example. He's not great at those. But I would say that he's not the biggest concern right now. Um, you know, and he will make mistakes as per every goalkeeper. You know, Magnan at the end was about to make a huge mistake as well. And look, other players, you know, they also make mistakes. Like Politano here. I mean, he should have threaded this pass through Fernandes. It would have been a great chance to make the game 3-0, break Milan's heart right after the penalty, and we didn't do that. And there were so many chances like this in the second half that we just didn't have the right final pass. I'm not gonna put all of them, but I thought this one was maybe the more obvious one, where like this is just such an easy pass because there's an entire lane to put this in, and you know, Neres has the speed, I think, here to get to goal. But instead we have a second half where Lobotka gets injured. Let's hope it's nothing serious. Milan then score this goal, great 1-2 this time. Again, Theo, and he puts this great ball into the box, into that 6 yard box. And as I said, you know, here the striker, Jovic in this case, he's got the entire momentum, he just puts a foot out and scores. And yeah, we're wasteful, guys, because here we were suffering. The subs came on, but it seemed like it was dumber and dumber on the field. I mean, no one here takes a shot, and we end up suffering for another 2 minutes after this. And you've got the Jimenez strikes, Reindeers with three or four chances as well. We were pretty lucky that none of those went in, and then you had this moment here with Mike Magnan all the way up for the corner or for the free kick, and then he loses the ball, and this could have been a crazy end to the game. But guys, ultimately we take all 3 points with us, and this is my player ratings. Overall positive. I didn't want to give anybody a bad score today, at least none of the starters, because I thought it was one of the best first halves. Sorry, guys. It was one of the best first halves that I've seen, and that has influenced a lot my results or my ratings. Second half not so good, but I want to give them the benefit of the doubt that hey, at least they got over the line. They got the 3 points. Billing, unfortunately, I gave him a 5.5 because I mean he gave away a penalty, and I think it was harsh the penalty, but like it shows the lack of street smart of Billing, right? Because when you're up against Theo Hernandez, you know the guy is gonna pull off something shady. So you give him space and you make sure that you don't lose track of him and you don't lose sight of him. And unfortunately, he did that. And sometimes it's just one of those things that it's a little bit different, the Serie A from the Premier League. I think in the Serie A, players are trying to take advantage of each other a little bit more. There is a little bit less fair play than in the Premier League, and it just takes time to get used to this. But look, it's not the end of the world, um, because Meret saved it. Meret man of the match for me for the save, but also Politano, Di Lorenzo for giving us basically allowing us to start the game 1-0. I thought that was important, kill Milan off or kill their hopes in the first half, and at least it gave us a good first 45 minutes. Lukaku, yes, he scored, but I didn't want to give him too high of a rating because I think it was a bit of a lucky goal. But yeah, overall, like everybody had a solid game. I wouldn't say that any of these players would be like, apart from Meret, I don't think any of the players would say this is my top five or top 10 performance ever. So, I gave Buongiorno a 7 as well, just because I thought he was up against some solid strikers, did well, contributed to that second goal. It was his ball recovery, and he followed through with the action, and he got himself all the way up to the box to distract Kyle Walker, which made Lukaku be onside. We talked about that. So good stuff from Buongiorno as well. Conte 7 because he got the right formation at the start, in my opinion. But it could have been an 8 had I think he managed the second half a bit more. I think the yellow card that he got was totally avoidable. So, unfortunately not an 8 for Conte, but he got the job done against a solid Milan team who, the position in the table for them is not reflective of how good of a team they are. I mean, look at this in terms of the stats, guys. They had this is a team that is able to do. Oops, I don't want to play the video. I don't want to get. No, don't play the video. I don't want to get fined here for copyright infringement. But this is a team that had 17 shots on our goal. Okay, so yeah, um, it's a good Milan side, guys. It's a good Milan side. Okay, let's see the press conference, guys. What did Conte have to say in all of this? We are now 45 minutes into the live. So let's see, and it's midnight here. So let's see what Conte had to say, and then we wrap this up. By the way, I will close the poll with 86 votes. So thank you to everybody that voted. And the winner of the poll is what is it? 31 to 50%. No, 11 to 30%. Sorry, I don't have my glasses with me. So yeah, let's say 20% chances. One in five. Let's put it in the average. One in five chances of winning the Scudetto. That's what everybody feels, but there's a few of you guys that are optimistic. So I would say that's a decent spread. All right. All right. All right. There's a few people that spoke today. So I want to get, before I get to Conte, I want to get to the interviews of the different players first. So um, let's see. Let's see here. All right, we have Meret. So I'm gonna go with Meret first. I know that there's Conte's picture there, but I can't change the picture for every player that gets interviewed. So this is Meret, guys. He says, I study all the penalty takers before every game. Luckily, I was able to save it because it was a very delicate moment in the game. Today, this victory allows us to remain attached to Inter. We do believe in it. We're there and we can't let go of this now. Inter is running very strongly, but we need to be able to keep up with them. So good stuff, Meret, doing his homework. Lukaku also had something to say. He scored his 400th goal of his career. Guys, this puts him in like the top 10 of footballers ever, pretty much. He's got an insane track record, Lukaku. He's so underrated, honestly. He doesn't look like much, you know, but man, this guy just puts it in the back of the net one way or another basically once every two games. It's incredible what this guy does. So 400 goals, they are a lot, he says, but the victory today was much more important. We prepared the game in a certain way, but this morning Antonio Conte changed his plans. We suffered this. So that's an interesting insight that today Conte changed his plans. So maybe he was going to start with a 3-5-2 but changed it up to a 4-3-3. Maybe he saw my preview video where I said, bro, you got to go for 4-3-3. So I take credit for that. He said, so Lukaku says, we suffered a bit in the second half, but the important thing is that we took home the 3 points and it's okay like this. It was a good response today. We fought until the end. We work as a team, and Di Lorenzo is a good captain. I don't know why he had to say that. I guess maybe they asked him whether he thinks he's a leader of the team or not, and he probably just said, look, we're all working as a team, and Di Lorenzo's a good captain. Sometimes when they report these interviews, they don't report the question that was asked. So some of the answers seem a bit weird at times, but that's probably what was asked. And then Politano says, today was very important to win. We started very strongly. In the first half, we could have even scored a third goal. In the second, we suffered a lot, but this stuff happens. Now we have to think about the next game. We believe in ourselves, and we want to give this group of fans a good uh, a good present, let's say, which is the Scudetto. Di Lorenzo's interview was a bit longer, so a lot of people got interviewed today. They asked him, you guys were able to resist, and he says yes, it was an important part of today's game that we were able to resist Milan's assault. We did it as a team. We were missing two very important players today, but the group is very strong and united. We're ready to play. Well, everybody is ready to play no matter what, and we are happy for the win. They ask him about the fact that we keep, let's say, suffering in the second half, and he says the Serie A is very, very difficult, and playing this with this intensity for 90 minutes is not easy. we also had a team with a lot of quality in front of us, so it's normal that we also suffer a little bit. And they ask him about the assist to Politano, and he says this is something that we train. It's a fruit of our training. The connection with Matteo Politano is there. Teo, Leao, and Felix, they have great talent, and the defense was good to not concede too much from them. They ask him whether the changes that Conte made could have been done earlier. And he says, look, don't ask me. This is something for the manager. And yeah, so that's Di Lorenzo. And finally, we get to Conte. So there's Conte from the zone and Conte's press conference. So first at the zone, he says, in the first half we dominated. Let's not forget that Milan is an excellent team, and this is a team that really became stronger over the winter break. Today I had to force myself to play Anguissa, who didn't play with the national team because McTominay was not available, so I had to take some risks. Neres didn't play since a long time, and it's for these kind of reasons that we dropped in the second half. Also, maybe there was a little bit of fear, but ultimately the result allows us to keep within touch of Inter and keep fifth place behind us. Yeah, then he says, like, we didn't even aim for Champions League, but to just arrive to the European places. But now we're here, like this entire thing of Conte that he says every time, like, dude, we get it that you're overperforming, but let's not bring this up every time. So yeah, then he said, look, it's not easy to play because we played after Inter. So guys, last like I don't understand these press conferences from Conte. Like he's trying to play a little bit the victim, which I don't understand because against Venezia he was like, it's not easy to play at 12:30 before Inter, and now that we play after Inter, he says it's not easy to play after Inter. It's like, man, I don't understand why we have this victim mentality and approach. I think we should be a lot more bold in how we communicate, and we should say stuff like, "Yeah, we play whenever. Like we just win or try to win no matter what time we play, if we play before or after Inter, we just know that we have 90 minutes and we put the ball in the back of the net and we win. That should be the message, not like, oh, the time of when we play. Like, guys, just like give a more assertive um, message is what I want to say to Conte and the club. Um, Helcom says it's a bit of a question mark on whether he stays or not, the way he speaks. Yeah, yeah, I mean, who knows? I think he will stay because leaving after one season, even for Conte, that's a bit much. Vince says, Dom, Conte has always been this way. I know, but I, I just, I don't know. I, 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 I just don't like it. And I know that maybe it's Conte's way, um, that he's just like this, right? Um, but I don't like it. I would rather him be a bit more like, for example, Jose Mourinho is also a bit like this, but he's different, right? Like he also makes very bold claims. Um, Whereas Conte, like I just don't see that boldness from him. It's always very like defensive or victimizing the way he speaks. Whereas, you know, I think Mourinho, for example, he takes shots at other managers. Um, yeah, I don't know. Even or and I to some extent, you could say that his downfall, Mourinho's downfall, coincided with when he started becoming less cocky about himself. Like when he was walking around saying, I'm the special one, he was winning games. Or when he was saying Arsene Wenger is a specialist in losing, he was winning games. And then when he started becoming a bit more of a victim, then it's kind of Mourinho's downfall. And so yeah, I just want Conte to be a bit more, um, yeah, a bit different, a bit more cocky, a bit more like, yeah, we're just here to win the Scudetto and win games. Like we play whenever, you know. But yeah, he says, look, the next game is against Bologna. It's a very good team. Um, and these are um, these are days that the coaches hate because you have to try to find solutions now that McTominay is out feeling ill. Um, and he says, I had to get paracetamol because I have a strong headache. Look, I mean, yeah, again, a little bit of a victim mentality, like, oh, poor me, my head hurts because I have to find solutions. Like, I don't know why I'm hating on Conte. Like, he's literally like won us the game, but I don't know why he's speaking like this. Yeah, I don't know. Then they ask him, how big is your desire to do something very special in Naples? And he says, look, um, I've been welcomed here very well. It's the first time in my career that I've received so much without having yet given anything back. And let's continue to do something that is miraculous. And we have to remain fierce. There's 8 games to go, and then we will think about the future. Okay, so that's Conte. And then there's the press conference where he says more or less the same things. Um, and and yeah, he's basically just saying, look, it's very difficult this season because we've had to change formations a lot. We've had a lot of injuries, a lot of things like this, like with Scott McTominay and Lobotka's injury during the game, and Anguissa and Neres were not maybe fully fit that he had to sort of handle. But he has a great group of players that is able to give him um, the satisfaction of absorbing his inputs. Luckily, he says that Lobotka only had cramps, so that's good. That's good. Yeah. Right, let's see some comments. I'm scared Conte's foreshadowing. Think ADL pissed him off in January, and if he goes to Milan and wins, he's a god. Look, Conte will probably like if he wins a Scudetto, I think he stays. I think if he wins the Scudetto, he stays because even if next season he doesn't do so well, he will always be able to say, I gave you guys a Scudetto. So he approaches next season without any pressure, right? Whereas if we finish second, I think there's a lot more chances that he leaves because he knows that the pressure then for next year would be to win the Scudetto. And if he doesn't deliver on that, people will start um, questioning him on why he was not able to do better than the first year. And Conte, to avoid that, will want De Laurentiis to spend a lot of money. And I don't know if De Laurentiis is willing to do that because basically the money that we spent this summer was already sort of taken into account what we would have um, had from Osimhen's sale. That's why all those transfers came so late because we were waiting to sell Osimhen, waiting, and never came. And finally, De Laurentiis had to anticipate the money that we hope we're going to receive this year from Osimhen. We then have Kvara's money that we need to spend, fine, and the Champions League money, fine. We have that, but De Laurentiis is also thinking about the works that he needs to do for the stadium, for the training ground. So not all of that money might go into new players. Um, so I think Conte is aware of that. Conte will not like that. And I think that if we finish second, there's a decent enough chance that Conte doesn't stay. If we win, I think he stays because he's got nothing to lose at that point. Like he's already proven himself. So he just stays and maybe he does a double. If he does a double, great. If not, doesn't matter, you know? And yeah, I think that's I think that's the I think that's my opinion about it. But yeah, I don't know. I guess it's a topic for a different video. Guys, it's late. Tomorrow we all have to do our stuff, whether that be work or go study or whatever, unless you have Monday off, which is a bit weird to have Monday off, but very cool. Um, or maybe you just never have anything to do, which I don't know if that's a good thing or a bad thing. Depends on your perspective, I guess. But I've got stuff to do. So I'm gonna have to end it there, guys. We got the 3 points. That's what was most important. Good chatting with you guys. Thank you for supporting the channel. Thank you for all of you that stayed on the live. There's a few of you that haven't smashed the like button. So whenever this ends, just it'd be a huge help if you smash that like button. And guys, I hope you have a good one. And as always, Forza Napoli sempre. Ciao.